Now to our mental health crisis. In our Uncommitted series, we explained why it's so hard to force someone to get help for their mental health. Many of the folks we talked with think the bar is just set too high, that it's too hard to meet legal requirements for forced care, which is part of the reason we see so many people on our streets in crisis. They also told us it will take changes in state law to fix this broken system. Our reporter Evan Watson took that question to the governor candidates and to lawmakers. What did they have to say about that?
Well, through emails and comments and calls to us here at The Story, we learned that a lot of you want to ask, why won't Oregon reevaluate these standards for civil commitment? So we shared this series with the candidates for governor. First off, unaffiliated candidate Betsy Johnson agreed that state standards for forced care are too high, saying, "We have to stop using the streets and our neighborhoods as the waiting room for mental health treatment. I believe the pendulum has swung too far in the direction of leaving people to their own devices rather than getting them the help they need. Oregon is last in the country for mental health services and our state hospital is falling apart. I will fix it. For me, this is a priority, not something to push under the rug. This is where ideology is getting in the way of practical solutions. People with severe mental illness are by definition not capable of making good decisions on their own, which is why we need to act to get them into safer situations. As governor, I will take Oregon out of last place and help get mentally ill people off our streets and to the help they need." We asked Democrat Tina Kotek if this is on her radar. She said, "Thank you for the thoughtful reporting. Ultimately, we need to make sure we're connecting people with services so they have an opportunity to stabilize and get better. I would be open to working with legislators and stakeholders to reevaluate the standards for civil commitment. As governor, I will work to make sure Oregon has an effective, comprehensive plan that will connect more people with peer support, housing, and other services. This means effectively spending the $500 million the legislature added to expand mental health and addiction care, including more supportive housing and the millions more that voters approved through Measure 110. As governor, I will demand results." We also asked Republican candidate Christine Drazan 4 separate times for comment, and we did hear back from her campaign twice, but they never provided a statement or any other response.
All right, so to summarize then, Betsy Johnson says yes, change needs to be made. Tina Kotek kind of pivoted on us there. She said she'd look at it, but she didn't really say which way she would go and whether she thinks the bar is too high. And then Christine Drazan blew us off. All right, if lawmakers are going to take this up, what would it take?
Well, we know what that might look like because we've seen this before, actually in past sessions in 2019 and in 2021. Oregon senators proposed bills that would have redefined the dangerous to self or others standard, effectively lowering the legal bar that must be met for forced care. In both cases, the bills were referred to the Ways and Means Committee, but all progress stopped there. So I asked lawmakers on that committee currently the same question. What do you think about these state standards and would you do anything about this? Here are 2 of those responses. Senator Elizabeth Steiner Hayward is a Democrat representing Northwest Portland and Beaverton. She's also a doctor and longtime medical professional. She said, "I agree that we need to reevaluate these standards. It requires a careful balancing of civil rights and the need to protect people who are at risk of harming themselves or others. I look forward to continuing to work with those focused on this effort to find a path that walks this fine line as fairly as possible." Senator Jeff Golden, a Democrat representing Ashland, provided a different perspective, explaining why previous bills designed to address these standards have failed. He said, "My view is that the biggest single defect we have in Salem is the mountain of policy bills that die in the Ways and Means Committee after careful vetting in policy committees, usually and not always because there's not enough time to deal with them."
Yeah, that's a really big problem. I've covered for 30 years different parts of the legislature, and there's always bills that, especially if they have a price tag connected to them, get sent to Ways and Means, and then as the session goes on, all this other stuff like the state budget is taking the forefront. And so towards the end of the session, it's not that they don't like that bill, it's just that there's so many other big things they have to deal with that one just sits there and they say, we'll get to that next year.
And the question there, of course, is priority. What are you bumping to the top of that list here? And maybe now in 2022, 2023, with all this discussion around mental health and where we stand as a society, as our community, maybe this becomes a priority for them in this next session.
I think so. You've done a great job putting a spotlight on them. So now we pass the ball to them and let's hope they don't drop it.
Thanks, Pat.
By the way, if you missed one of Evan's Uncommitted segments and you want to catch up, the series is available to stream right now on KGW Plus, our free Roku and Fire TV app. You can also find segments on the KGW YouTube channel.